Good morning. Welcome to Monday, August 24th, and Coffee with the Kid. Cheers, Riley. Got my Coffee with the Kid mug today. Yeah, what a week. Holy cow. Seems like forever ago. Yeah, we had a general election was last Tuesday, and I took off, I believe, Wednesday morning and worked at the cabin till yesterday. Came back mid-afternoon yesterday. Once again, didn't get nearly as much done as I intended on getting done. Weather, holy cow. It rained, and it rained hard. Then supposedly it was supposed to happen again last night, and got another one moving through today. So yesterday, though, they're supposed to get 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Don't know if the cabin got that, but up on the knob where I'm at, when it blows really hard up there. So anyway, I got done, got the decks, both decks are laid down, finished. Good to go there. I'm leaving again tomorrow. Got a whole bunch of stuff to take care of today to get ready to go back down tomorrow. And get after it again. This week isn't going to be so much production, getting work done, organizing and cleaning and getting crap out of the house, lumber restacked and all that good stuff. So take some time to do some stuff that's been neglected, get some things moved into the garage and covered and stored, organized out there, but where I'm not tripping over it in the house. When I cleaned the deck off and put all this stuff in the cabin itself, like, man, this is horrible. So a clean job site is a happy job site. Right now I don't have a clean job site, so we're gonna fix that. So I've got, like I said, I'll get out of here tomorrow. Hopefully I get out of here relatively early. I've got to stop in Pinedale, license another trailer, stop by a bank there, then get to the cabin when I get there and just start organizing, boxing some things up, electrical stuff here, painting stuff there, get it all organized and in boxes and put outside. And then Wednesday is a loss for as far as construction goes. Doing an all-day hike to see how many miles I can get in, but see how many cool pictures I can get to. But doing the hike in honor of the 13 kids. I'll spend a day doing that. Maybe do a few videos, whatever. See how things go that day. Taking a waterproof container with some Riley stuff up in the middle of the mountains, and it's a canyon that I've spent some time with Riley in, spent some time with Royce in. Last place Riley and I got an elk together. Doesn't get a lot of traffic, but it gets some pretty cool traffic as far as people that go back up and in there. So I'll put it on. There's a trail that goes up a ridge where I used to set trail cams and get pictures of some pretty nice bull elk back there that you wouldn't even know were in the area. But yeah, stick that up there. Anybody stumbles across it, it'll be pretty cool to leave a little notebook in there. Be pretty cool to see. If anybody stops by and checks it out, if anybody leaves a note. But the idea is they'll see it, they'll read it, open it up, read it, and think about the kids for a little bit. And it's a hell of a view to sit there and think about the kids. So anyway, that's going to encompass Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like I said, see how far I can get. I will get both decks, as long as the rain stops and the mud doesn't come. I'll get both decks sanded and stained. So that'll be good. I got a bunch of things on my notes to see about, and again, most of my focus right now is going to be on outside stuff while while I can still take advantage of decent weather. I've got 3 8-foot posts I'd like to get set on the south deck, so I might get them set and braced off. If I get far enough, I'll put the header log across the top. What else? Yeah, get that. That would be nice to have that set and all braced off. Eventually, this place is going to look pretty damn cool. So I got a shade sitting deck and I got a sun sitting deck, so it'll be all right. What else? Board up some stuff in the garage, because I'm not going to get the garage finished, but I'd sure like to. I got one window that's not even cut in. I need to just board it up. I am going to eventually get the 2 gable ends covered with plywood and papered before winter hits, and get the garage doors closed in, tarp, big tarp. I'm hopefully gonna clean that place is a mess. I'll get pictures of that too. Damn ravens and owls. I'll show you the dilemma we're working with there, but got a bunch of metal I need to, it's all together and consolidated, but I need to get it moved where I can actually get to it, work with it when I need to, get it out of the garage, get the side-by-side parked in there. Yeah, doing a lot of house cleaning this trip, but or work fast enough, get it done, then I can get back to working, but it's a necessity at this point to get a bunch of that stuff done. And everything I was going to do upstairs, got the chop saw and table saw moved and set up and all that upstairs. I'm going to revamp that as well. Decided as I was there this weekend, it's like, why make more dust in the house, for crying out loud? Now that I got both decks, move the chop saw downstairs where I can work out the front or back deck, do all my cutting out there, and get rid of some of the dust that I keep cleaning up. So yeah, happy to say I announced myself as Timber Ridge Ranch Employee of the Week. Congratulations to Jim on that. Pretty easy to be Employee of the Week when you're the only employee. I thought that was pretty funny though. What else? Yep, went into the bear. That was fun. Good. I knew the barrel would be hit and everything would be gone, and sure enough, it was. And trail cam is turned sideways on the tree, so he definitely hit it. But once again, and it was on, so I know it was on, and all that good stuff. But I got absolutely zero pictures of any bears. And then I've got another one that's pointed straight at the tree stand, because we keep having them go up that tree and stuff. And that one, I got several pictures of, the tree, no bears in the picture, but I got what did I have, a fox one day, a coyote one day, some weasels and stuff bouncing around, but no bear pictures there. Big old pile of bear scat though, and it's not from a small bear, so hopefully I get some pictures. Maria had a good idea. I can't see anything up close. I can't read it. I wear glasses to see and drive long distance and all that kind of stuff. The one both pairs of sunglasses I wear are prescription, so I can drive and see down the road. But to see anything up close, like I'll go pay for something, I have to take my glasses off to punch the keypad and all that good shit. But it is frustrating as hell, and that's the smaller lettering, I can't read it at all. So I'm just guessing on, these are all brand new trail cams, and I didn't really spend much time messing with them, and I'm not doing something right. So I'll take pictures of the instructions. I'll go sit up there. I am taking a pair of readers, and I'll use the flashlight on my phone, but I'll get it figured out so I can get pictures of these darn things. I've missed an entire summer, spring, and going into fall. So we'll get that remedied. I might take one more trail cam up there also. Oh, and I need to mount that one better, so we can't just, it's just got the strap, you put the strap around the tree, pull it tight, clasp it down kind of like a belt. It ain't working. I knew it wasn't going to work. We've done this before. So I'll get that mounted better. Probably take another one up there also and mount it in a strategic area where I can get that barrel. Like I said, it's doubtful that I'll hunt it this fall, but I'm still going to try to hit it weekly, and I'd love to get some great pictures. And I'll probably leave my cams up the entire winter just to see what's back there and what comes through. It's kind of cool. We've had, you know, the mountain lions are one of the coolest things we've gotten. I didn't get a whole lot during the winter. Well, we got it until the snow was so deep that the cameras were covered. But it was spring, and it was like 2 or 3 days before Royce and I went in there. We got a mama mountain lion and 3 kittens, which was really cool. And then we got pictures of a big tom one year. And that's on Royce's bucket list of what she'd like to get, but she wants to do it with a bow only, which is going to be really hard, really admirable, and but that back there is a place that it could happen. So anyway, yeah, she'd like to get a big kitty cat with her bow, and she'd love to get a wolf with her bow at some point. So, and we've got both back there. That's for the election and stuff. I did a video the other day. Congratulations on those that won and moved ahead, and congratulations to all the candidates that ran. Now I move forward to the primary. Now that is one thing in Wyoming that it's just a given year after year, you know, election cycle after election cycle. The general election, or the primary election, is the one that decides who is going to run our state. It's not the primary. It's the general. It is the primary. I was a little disappointed statewide with the voter turnout. It's almost your duty to vote. It's definitely your right to vote, and the fact that people don't do it is just, and then you wonder why the world's going to shit. Because you don't participate. You don't pick our leaders. You sit on the sidelines and then piss and moan and play armchair quarterback election cycle after election cycle, but you didn't do your part of the process to vote. It baffles me. I get it. You know, a lot of people, and I have discussions with all kinds of people. Like I said, I was with a group of people, 8, 9 people, not one of them was going to vote. Like, man, I don't get it. Why? But then for the next 2 years, especially on local stuff, they'll piss and moan, and they think their vote doesn't matter, so they're just not going to do it. Piss and moan on who was elected. You had an opportunity to have your voice heard through your vote. You could have picked who you wanted to represent you, and you didn't do it. Frick. Get your shit together, guys. Do it. I don't know. And for me, this whole thing it's all fun. I enjoy it, and I learn something new every conversation, every candidate I speak to, whatever. You learn something new. You get a different perspective. It changes your way of thinking. You don't have to be a political nerd to pay attention and enjoy it. Just have the conversations. There's got to be some things that matter to you. Your kids are in school. You feel like you're being taxed to death. You know, Housing is no longer affordable, whether you're trying to buy or you're renting or whatever else. There's so many things in your daily life that matter, and people are elected to make choices that are to help your life, but you're not doing anything to help yourself. Come on, do better. Drives me nuts. You've got the opportunity. Every 2 years there's elections, and you've got the opportunity to say who you would like to be your voice, in local government, state government, federal government, but you don't do it. And I said this last week, if you don't, then sit down and shut up, because you have no room to bitch. You didn't do your part. So, and I'm not always pleased with the results or those that I voted for, some of the decisions they make. I still shake my head and go, what the hell? You kind of balance that out, you weigh it out. Governor Gordon, love the guy. Been since 2018. First time I met him was 2018, after the Roosevelt fire burned down our cabin. And he came with a group of people and we're checking things out. And I got to just stand him and I just BSing for the longest time. And then Riley died, and I've met him several times after that. And then through political things, I've met him numerous other times. Fantastic guy. He did say one time, there was another ceremony we were doing for Riley. He kind of elbowed me a little bit. He said, next time we meet and we get together, it's going to be on a horseback with our fly rods, and we're going fishing. We got to quit meeting like this. Yeah, fantastic guy, but he's made some decisions, especially during the COVID era. Man, I just didn't agree with. And point being, it's local politicians and people I vote for and people that are my friends, I don't always see eye to eye with them. I don't always agree with their decision. I listen to them, I understand it, and get their perspective and their point of view. Doesn't mean I agree with everything everybody does. I've got my own opinions, my own values, things that matter to me, ways I would like, especially the state. I would like to see things done in the state, things that matter not just locally for me, but statewide. The big ones right now are the data centers in public lands, selling off our public lands, which I am absolutely adamantly opposed to. Selling our lands to foreign nations, absolutely opposed to that. So there's a lot of things that the data centers right now are the big ones. The nuclear thing is another big one. And I'll get into that maybe in some podcasts when I kickstart that again, which end of September-ish, I'm hoping to jump back on and do my Wicked Wisdom Wednesday podcast. This is all weather driven. As long as I can keep working, I'm going to keep working. I probably won't do it Wednesday, because Wednesday, like I said, I'm doing the hike, and then I'm actually going to fire up a charcoal grill instead of a gas grill, but fire up a grill down there and throw a steak and some chicken and some veggies and stuff, and just have a day with the 13 kids. But anyway, I'd like to jump into some of this stuff that one, it's important to me as my audience grows. And please like, share, and whatever, to follow. Grow that audience just a little bit, and then the bigger my audience, the more my ideas and whacked out topics are exposed. But the political stuff, especially in the state of Wyoming, it's important to me. It's important to get honest answers out there. you read a lot of stuff right now that is just absolutely asinine and fear-driven. The roadless rule right now, the amount of misinformation and lies that if they rescind the roadless rule, our forests are just going to be destroyed. It is so far from the truth. What destroyed our forests was the roadless rule. If you don't want to believe me, please, and don't ever believe everything I say, look it up. I'll give you my perspective, how I see things, whatever, but look it up. Do a little bit of research. It doesn't take that long. Instead of just death scrolling through TikTok and laughing at funny videos, every now and then go, he was talking about this. Google it, pull it up. It'll lead you to some other places. You can't trust Google for everything either, so you've got to look at a multitude of places to get the information, and then have some conversations, and before long you're going to be in it just a little bit and go, wow, I kind of enjoy this. Maybe I'll vote this time. So anyway, but yeah, we've got the roadless rule thing coming up, which will affect, can't remember how many millions of acres. I want to say it was like 3.8 million acres. Don't quote me on that number because that might be way off. But just in Wyoming alone, forest fires. Well, I'm just rambling. When I grew up in Teton County, Jackson, Wyoming, the heck, got a new watch. Yeah, my other one quit working. It still works. I can get all my information on the phone, but can't. The face won't light up and whatever. But that one did my heart or my blood pressure. This one doesn't. Didn't know that when I bought this one. But anyway, growing up in Jackson, surrounded by Yellowstone and Teton National Park, we never had the catastrophic forest fires like we have now. Year after year after year, just everything burning up. And it isn't climate change. It's people making changes in Washington, D.C. that have affected everything in our national forests that let them go to shit. Yellowstone National Park, you can't log in there, you can timber, there's no cutting. I agree, there shouldn't be, but there needs to be. That's an all-day topic. Anyway, Yellowstone National Park, Grand Teton National Park, you can't go in there and log and cut firewood or cut where we used to in our area. You used to be able to cut house logs. That's how I made my living, was taking those raw logs, peeling them, hand scribing them, and building beautiful houses. The old school way, you coped each log, picked out the log that was going to fit this wall next, and went from there. And a lot of our logs were native Wyoming logs, and a lot of the logs were from the local area. Fun fact, our cabin that burned down, the logs for that cabin came out of the Grovant. So, which is where, growing up, that's where my family spent a lot of time. Me, mom, and dad, up until they purchased the cabin property, we went hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, take a drive, go get pictures, was always up the Grovant. And the fact that those logs actually came from the Grovant and were used on the cabin was always really cool for mom, dad, and I. Anyway, we never had the catastrophic forest fires like we are having now until the roadless rule was implemented and they shut down all logging. There's no more logging. There's access restricted, even firewood cutting. You couldn't clean up the forest anymore. And I've gotten pictures and videos, just the small area that I go, where it's been so neglected. It's like it's just matchsticks laying there waiting to catch on fire. Anyway, didn't have that stuff growing up until mid-90s and 2000s and beyond. 1988, Yellowstone caught on fire, and holy shit, that was a huge fire. And growing up, the parks would always have fires that they would have to fight and manage, but the forest didn't. And now the forest is on fire every other day. So anyway, you can research that too. Look into that. You see when these things change, when these changes were implemented, and then how things have changed, and how the fire seasons have gotten just crazy. And it's not just in Wyoming; it's the whole Intermountain West, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, Idaho. I think rescinding this and allowing people to help clean up the forest floor, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do, what kind of changes they're going to make and implement. Hell, we used to have, there was a mill in Dubois, Wyoming. I want to say there were 2 mills in Dubois at one point, where you could cut the logs and then you take it down and they'd make 2x4s, 2x6s, dimensional lumber, kiln dry them, and just like you buy at Home Depot, but it was all done locally. Those all, when you could no longer log, those all shut down. Custom built log homes, it got almost impossible to get logs. The last few that I did work on, we were getting our logs from Canada. I want to say British Columbia. But by the time you truck it in and everything, it was no longer affordable for anybody to build a custom log home. It's just weird and crazy to see how it evolved and how it's done what it's done. Put a lot of people out of work. Washington, Oregon, and the spotted owl, and then this toad and this bug, and oh shit. You get the government involved in anything and it is a shit show, and it doesn't work in favor of anybody. Back then, environmentalists spiking trees, trying to injure, harm, maim, kill the loggers. I don't know. It went to hell rather quickly. Once they kept us from utilizing our public lands. Kind of got off in the weeds on that just a little bit. But no, investigate some of that stuff. Pay attention, because the road this roll is coming up now. It's being discussed. Moving the headquarters of the National USFS Forest Service to Utah is going to be huge, I think, for all of the Intermountain region. It's going to be more local decisions made that affect the local area, instead of some moron in Washington, D.C. who's never stepped foot in a forest out here telling us what's best for us. So I think that's going to be a huge move. Letting the states control our wildlife instead of somebody in D.C. and, who's never seen a grizzly bear or a wolf or see what they do to the cattle and stuff. Instead of letting them make decisions because their heart hurts, get their emotion the hell out of the way and let people that actually live in the area have money in the game and a dog in the fight. Let the states take control over how we manage our wildlife. A lot of things on the horizon and changes that could be really, really beneficial, especially for Wyoming. I'd love to see things move forward. Hopefully they do. And again, this is why elections matter. We're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of 13 kids getting murdered at Abbey Gate. Elections frickin' matter. Incompetent, bureaucratic bullshit. Absolutely horrible decision making. led to what happened on August 26, 2021. Elections matter. So I went from the cabin to freaking politics again, but pay attention just a little bit. Have conversations. And you don't have to know. You don't have to know everything. If you have a question, bring it up. Hell, DM me. Message me. You catch me somewhere. Hey, I got a question for you. I'll give you my honest answer, my honest opinion, direct you where you can find more information. Again, I don't have all the answers and I don't know everything, and sometimes I'm way off base, but it's how I feel, what I think. But I can also evolve and learn, and listen and have the discussions that help shape my decision making, and therefore my vote. I'm helping shape the decisions that are going to be made for the state of Wyoming. This election season was fascinating. I'm new to the Rock Springs area, relatively new. I'm Wyoming through and through, so I know a lot about the different working parts and pieces and stuff of the state of Wyoming. But as far as local politics go, I'm still learning the ropes on who does what entities are responsible for what, and how this process all works here. Typically, government is run the same way, and statutorily they have to operate the same way. But the inner workings in Sweetwater County are fascinating, and it's really cool. And the dynamics and the people. Then I've said this 1,000 times. I had to eat a lot of crow when I moved here because I talked a lot of shit on Rock Springs for a lot of years. But Royce and I have learned it is a really cool community. Some great people here. It is a little cliquey. There are little factions of this and that, but by and large, and I get along with anybody and everybody, so it's really easy for me to just roll into conversations, and you don't care where you work, where you come from, what your history is. We've all got history. We've all got skeletons. We've all had struggles and whatever. So it's awesome. I have met some amazing people from, I got a great group of friends, but outside of my group of friends, I've also, I've met some fantastic people that make this community really, really cool. So yeah, I had to backtrack a lot of the crap that I spoke about Rock Springs. It was always, leaving Jackson, coming to hit I-80, going to Cheyenne, Laramie, Denver, whatever. It was just a place you had to go through, maybe make a pit stop and hit the interstate and get the hell out of town. There is so much here and so much history that it is fascinating. I am learning so much that I never knew. And then Rick Lee with our Chamber of Commerce, I'll talk to him every now and then, and he'll point things out that I'll bring up a topic. It's like, man, I didn't know this, and he'll steer me in a direction to learn more, find out more. And Taylor's been just an encyclopedia for me, and Pete Leiby, holy cow, that guy knows everything about here, every road, every trail, where you can go, where you can't go. This will connect you to that. You can get there from here. And he's right. It's like, I spent, 3 hours in a side-by-side with him. He named off every butte, every mountain, where critters hide, where big critters hide. Just fascinating. Sand dunes. We've got the Kilpecker sand dunes. And then from here, heading towards I-80, way out in the middle of nowhere, there are 2 other sand dunes that are wilderness study areas. I had no idea they existed till we are in that side-by-side cruising by him. He's pointing them out and telling me the history of some of this stuff. So it's really cool. And I've said this before. If they would have taught me some of this history in Wyoming history, man, I would have absorbed it and been more intrigued and learned more on my own. That's one thing about Riley that was so cool too. He loved history. He wanted to be a history teacher. When he got out of the Marine Corps, he wanted to be a history teacher and a wrestling coach. And he would have just loved learning this stuff. So, pretty cool. Elections matter. We got school board elections coming up and things like that. And again, you hate to put politics in things, but politics are kind of a necessary evil. Even in the school board and things of that nature. You're making a choice on the direction you want things to go with your vote. Your vote is your voice. So again, if you've got kids in the school district or anything like that, pay a little bit of attention, get engaged just a little bit, pay attention to who's running and what changes you see as a parent of kids in the school district, what you see issues are. Listen to the candidates, speak to the candidates, and vote. That is your voice. You find a candidate that resonates with you and has the same vision, values, understanding, then by all means cast your vote for that individual. They will be your voice. So sitting on the sidelines doesn't work. There will be changes made that you're not going to like, but you have no room to complain because you didn't exercise your right to help steer the direction of the state, of the country, of the school board. Voting is important. We've let that slip away. Something that people have died for. To give you that right, and you just piss it away. Get engaged. Like I said, you don't have to pay attention to it like I do, and follow it and talk to everybody, but get engaged in your own way. Have the conversations, things that matter to you, and damn it, when it's time to vote. Another big one coming up in the state of Wyoming is and it'll be on the ballot, is a 50% property tax reduction. You got your pro people and your con people. It's a bad idea. Your schools, your fire departments, ambulance, emergency services, roads, all that money comes out of property taxes. You cut that in half. Where are you going to replace that money? You're either going to have to raise additional taxes somewhere to make up for that. And it's going to be a lot of money. You figure a 50% property tax reduction, when that is what funds all these programs, and people pissing and moaning, well, they cut funding to this, they cut funding to that, they took funding from this. What do you think is going to happen when you take 50% of the funding away? There are going to be a hell of a lot of cuts, and people are going to hurt. Roads aren't going to get plowed. It is going to be a ripple effect that I can see being damn near catastrophic if you do this. I think it's a horrible idea. Or what's going to end up happening is Wyoming is going to then have a state income tax implemented, which is one of the reasons Wyoming is such an attractive draw for bigger businesses and things to come to set up shop here, is we don't have a state income tax. Our taxes are relatively low. be careful. Investigate this one. And oh yeah, 50% off, no taxes. Yeah, screw the government. On this one, you're not screwing the government. You're screwing yourself and your neighbors and your communities and the state. So be careful on this one. Again, don't just go vote and fill in a circle because you want to fill in a circle, but you don't really know any answers. Pay attention a little bit. I think this one's going to be a hot topic moving forward, but it will be on the ballot in November. And I'll probably do a bunch of little brief videos on that one. Yeah. You can't piss and moan that funding was cut and then vote for something like that where funding is going to get cut big time and you're going to feel it really bad. Some budgets were cut because the county income, the money just isn't there with the oil and gas industry taking a hit and things like that. Kind of in a lull right now. $8.3 million or something, $8.3 million deficit, I think it was, that didn't have the money, so you had to make some adjustments and some cuts, and they're not easy cuts, and nobody enjoys doing it. You know, in a perfect world, the money would just be there. You get to fund all these programs and entities and things like that. That's not the case when you're short 8.3 million. But you cut 50% of property taxes across the state, and smaller communities are going to feel it big time. Your roads and bridges and things like that. You got to be able to replace that money somehow. Anyway, I have a ton of things I've got to do today to get ready to leave tomorrow. Got to hit Home Depot, Wally World, Smith's, Ace. Got a bunch of running around and things to go pick up and buy and get ready to go. I think Royce will be here this week, but I'm told her last night, it's like I'm bailing on Tuesday, so. House is yours. She's a quick trip for her too. I think she's coming Thursday morning and has to leave Friday afternoon. But anyway, I'm out of coffee. Need to go fill my cup. Need a little more nicotine in my lip. Hope you guys all have a great day. Sorry about the rambling there. I could sit here and talk about this all day. It's kind of fun. But I think my puppies need let out. It's got to be about 6:30 now. Indeed it is. So anyway, you guys have a great day. I am going to try. I had horrible service all weekend at the cabin. Even trying to download videos that I posted on Facebook and TikTok. It would take 2-3 hours for them to upload. Never had that happen before. But I am going to test drive. I was getting to that earlier. I said it won't be Wednesday, but probably Thursday evening. See how far I get and what I can get set up and where I can do it. But test drive. I want to test drive the platform I use for my podcast just to see if I can even do it down there right now. And mess around with the phone a little bit, do some live stuff or some recorded stuff. I'm not sure, but try to hop on, see how that works. Eventually I am going to I've decided when I get closer to it, get Starlink hooked up so that I can do things from down there the way I intended originally. I just had another thought. Something about the cabin that was exciting, but I forgot what it was. Oh, I have made the corporate decision, since I'm the one making the decisions. I am not going to even attempt to get the plumbing hooked up until spring. Still have too many things I need to take care of, too many unknowns at this point, that I don't want to go into winter not knowing everything's hooked up and no leak and no nothing. I did notice in the crawl space, I've got 2 pressure tanks down there for water reserves, and then the hot water heater. Got a slight leak coming out of one of them. I am going to try to get that taken care of before winter hits, but I don't want, toilets and sinks and showers and tubs and everything all hooked up while there's still a few open spots in the house that I need to take care of. The upstairs bathroom, if I hook the plumbing up there until I get that ceiling insulated and that room taken care of, yeah, it's rafters and plywood, and outside that's just metal. And this winter, when it would get cold, man, that room was freaking cold. So I don't want to take a chance on pipes bursting, anything freezing, anything like that. So I've got a bunch of things I need to button up and take care of. Some things in the crawl space I need to insulate and take care of. So we'll wait until spring to get the plumbing taken care of. And then hopefully by that point, I am done with so much that I can focus on the garage and also get electric run to the garage and have lights and power out there. So that's the game plan. We'll see. It changes from week to week. I get down there, it changes from day to day. But anyway, that's my game plan. That's my week in a nutshell. Please start paying attention politically, even if it's just your local stuff. Your voice does matter. Your vote does matter. Yeah, get engaged a little bit. Cheers. Deuces.